How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Yeah. Hey. Hello, hello, hello. I just finished my awesome burger. My husband makes amazing burgers. And we have them on Friday night, so it's really, really cool. Anyway, I am Rosemary Lonely Night. Welcome to the Deliberate Millionaire stream. I work with ambitious spiritual people, helping you to thrive, to prosper, to make at least six figures whilst living in your purpose. We do this by helping you leave behind the pain, the limiting beliefs of the past so that you can rise victorious in your true design life. And your true design is a life of freedom, fulfillment, financial abundance, a love drenched life if you will claim it. All of that is your divine right, but you have to claim it, okay? The divine will never take your free will away from you. It is on you to decide that I will not settle for less, that I will rise up and to demand more from life. We talked about this a few days ago. Demand more from life. I will refuse to be less than who I truly am. I'm going to start with our affirmation. I accept all of me, the light, the dark, the in between. I accept all of me. I love me. And it's so relevant. Nope. I accept all of me, the dark, the light, the in between. I accept all of me. I love me. I accept all of me, the dark, the light, the in between. I accept all of me. I love me. And that's your affirmation for this week. I accept all of me, the light, the dark, the in between. I accept all of me. I love me. And again, quite relevant to today's topic about daring to question religious dogma, religious traditions, the way you've always done things because that's what you've been told, and the fear. And I know it took me ages because I was brought up Christian. I started Catholic, kind of decided I was going to go broader with the whole Christian thing and become just plain Christian because I was doing it because my parents were very strict, wanted me to stay Catholic, and yeah, there was all kinds of drama around that. But I when I became of age, or when I came to the UK on my own at 17, or my own with my sister, um, I decided, you know what, I'm the only one who's going to have to answer to my life. So I decided to go broad Christian. But even then, that came with certain traditions, certain ways of seeing the world, certain ways of thinking, certain ways of being, which I didn't dare question. There were questions within me at times. And even as a Catholic, I used to question the priests or the trainee priests. And then, I mean, I became fully, I don't know whether it's fully Christian or decided to just go broad Christian, whatever you want to call it. Even then, there were certain questions inside of me, particularly the church that I joined. You know, women were not supposed to, they were supposed to play small. It felt like women were second class citizens. And even when I left that particular church, because there was no longer, you know, every time I stood up to do the things that I felt called to do, I was told that I was just not doing it right. And there was all kinds of stuff. So I finally found the courage to move on from that into a different church where I did see women doing things that they wanted to do and doing all the things that I wanted to do, basically. But even then, there were certain, whenever I started to question anything, whenever I started to do things differently, it was frowned upon in some ways. And there were things that you start to see, which you just take, when you're really into it, you take for granted. And you know what? I'm not against religion. Please don't take that from this. But what I am against is when we, and I did this for a very long time, do not question anything. We just go along with it because usually, at least for me, one of the reasons why I went along with things was because I felt so afraid that I would end up in hell. Okay, because that's what I was trained and programmed to believe, that I would end up in hell if I question things, that I would appear to be faithless if I question things, that the divine would hate me for questioning. And as my biggest, and to this day, my biggest desire, the biggest thing, the foundation on which I build my life is my relationship with the divine. I didn't want to mess that up. I didn't want to do anything that would mess that up and end up in hell. For goodness sake, hell for all eternity. Oh my goodness. So that's enough to make anybody not question, because you're thinking hell for all freaking eternity. But when you actually think about that, when you really think about that, you really think about that, particularly now I'm a parent, it's like, what? Because my child made some kind of mistake, some kind of temporary little, in the context of eternity, it's a little mistake. Whatever you did, it's a little mistake. Now, because this person made, or this child of mine that I love unconditionally, made this little mistake, I am now going to punish them for all eternity. For all eternity. Here, for all eternity. No chance of change for all eternity. Because you made a temporary mistake in a very temporary, little, in the context of eternity, little, teeny tiny grain of sand, less than a space of time. You made some kind of mistake. Whatever, no matter how major it may seem to us, in the context of eternity, it is nothing. And yet we believe, or at least I believed for a very long time, that I could make some kind of mistake or ask some kind of question that would end up with me being in hell for all eternity. And for ages, I did not question that. And I see so many ambitious spiritual people not questioning these ideas that they have because of this fear. Well, nobody would ever really admit it. It took me a while to admit that that's one of the reasons why I never questioned, or that I stayed in places that felt uncomfortable, but I felt I had to keep putting up with it because that's what the divine wanted from me. It's not true. At least I know that now. You're going to have to come up to your own understanding of these things. But I understand why you may not want to question, and you may not even want to look deeply into what I'm saying because it is freaking scary. For some of y'all, even just listening to me is scary because it might make you think things that you do not want to think. And I get that. But I'm here to speak to those who are ready to face into some of these ideas that I'm going to be sharing with you today. Because, yes, it is scary. It can be scary when you've been programmed to believe that you will freaking end up in hell for all eternity. Okay. That you will be cast out of the, especially for me, I know most of my friends, most of my friends came out of my religion. And the moment I stepped away from religion, I lost most of my friends. So yeah, it's an actual fear that you will end up alone. For a season, yeah, I felt like I did really end up alone because unconditional love is only, it seems, is only available when you are going along with the party line, when you are doing things. Well, not for everybody, because there's still some really key people in my life that I absolutely adore and love. However, for the majority of people, I don't speak to them, don't see them at all. It was just, it's almost like, and I get it because I did it. That's the thing. So I can't even judge them, in some ways. I can't judge anybody because I did it. And in some ways, when you're no longer doing the same kind of thing, it's a bit more difficult to maintain a relationship. I get that. But it is the sense of being completely shunned as well. And there's that sense. And for some of y'all, that could be the consequence of questioning your beliefs, because there are certain religious frameworks that really do not allow questioning at all. And to question is really literally that you will be cast out of the fold. And that's one way that they try and keep people from questioning, because then you'll lose your family, you'll lose your friends, you'll lose everything. But I'm here to speak against that, because you are actually meant for something more than that. You are, and for ambitious spiritual people, you are meant for something more than that. You cannot any longer keep giving into that fear. There are literally 8 billion people on the planet. Even if you did lose whatever number of people it was in your religious community, there's a lot more people out in the world. Now, yes, because most of your conversation, most of your thinking and everything is going to have been very much part of that. Okay, I'm talking about this as if I'm saying that everybody should walk away. No, I'm not. I'm not saying that, but I am saying question though. Because without the freedom, listen, financial abundance, fulfillment is very much partnered with freedom. So whenever you stifle your freedom, whatever part of your life where you stifle your freedom is going to impact on other areas of your life, whichever way you look at it, okay? And we're all about living completely free, okay? Living fulfilled, living financially abundant, all that unconditional love. We cannot keep accepting conditional love as though it is unconditional love, and then trying to make excuses for God with some of the things that people say. No, it's not that God is not loving you unconditionally. It's that, he's a God of justice, and, he has to judge fairly and all of that kind of stuff. And this is how we twist. We twist, and some people I listen to and I think, no, you're making God in your own image. You want to punish people who are doing what you do not want them to do. And so now you've decided, and we see this happening, don't we? And I see it on a small scale with certain people that I've spoken to in recent times, actually, who are really like, what? So you mean they can just get away with anything, and they should just get away with it? And I'm just like, now, who wants to punish them again? Is it you, or is it actually the divine? Because it seems as though you are very angry with them, and you've not really questioned whether the divine has, or what the divine has to say about it. And so, yeah, sometimes religion can be such a cloak for really judgmental people who feel a very strong black and white. This is right, this is wrong, and if you do this, you should be punished. And then they say, no, it's the divine that wants this. And we've seen this, and this is how, religious craziness happens in the world, is where people are so rigid in the way of thinking. Now, if you're that rigid, the chances are you're not listening to me. Or if you are, you're probably typing something really quickly, trying to defend your point of view, in which case, yeah, whatever. Basically. What I am speaking to the ones who are open, that you're already having questions, you're already thinking about things. I want you to, follow that through. My greatest freedom has come from following that line of thinking through. Speaking directly to the divine, not to some leader, not to some person who is already brainwashed into thinking in a certain way, who is now trying to brainwash me into thinking in a certain way. No, to the divine. Take off my brainwashing, and just go directly to the divine. Now, some people would say you're just hearing what you want to hear, and that's their right to say that. I say to you, you need to trust yourself. You need to trust that you can hear from the divine, or else you'll be taken in by anything and anyone. Okay? You don't even have to listen to me. Go directly to the freaking divine, to the awesome divine, whatever. Go to the divine and ask the questions. Okay? Because, you've been programmed to believe that questioning or stepping out of any boundaries that have been defined by your pastor or your spiritual leader or whatever, that is sinful or is disobedient, and you will be punished. And this may not be what was said directly, but you somehow taking that on because at some point it was shared. I still remember people coming onto our church and preaching about how hell is real. Don't listen to those people telling you that it's not real. Hell is real. Hell is real. And you will be punished. And I'm singing, okay, calm down now. Basically, at that point, I was probably just more reacting in fear. And if you've been exposed to that kind of teaching for a very long time, it's really difficult to question what you've been believing. But look out within yourself, and if some of this stuff resonates with you, then please go directly to the divine. Okay, this is where you're constantly seeking external validation from your leaders. The number of people I've seen, and particularly the last church I went to, the number of people I saw leaving frustrated because they had come with this idea that they would serve the pastor or the pastoress or pastor's vision. Okay. And they would do it for a period of time, and then the pastor would open the door for them to start their own ministry. And that when the pastor sees that they're ready, that the pastor will then create a platform for them so that they can get their own thing off the ground. And then they would leave the church really frustrated when this did not happen in the time span that they expected it to happen. Now, I just think, I don't blame the pastors or anything for that, because this person, or you, if you're that person that's done that, you came in under a flawed understanding that somebody else had authority over your own vision, over your own mission. Instead of simply deciding you were going to build your own platform, you thought that somebody who has taken the courage to build their own platform should now make room for you to build your own platform under their platform. Why should they? Basically, why should they? But people get this idea. And this, again, comes from you listening to certain teachings and preachings about, you've got to serve somebody else's vision, and then you have the opportunity to do your own. And that's the kind of stuff that is told and said, which, okay, you know what? I used to buy into it, but I don't anymore. I just think, no, that just creates followers, not leaders. Okay. So you're a leader. You need to actually start building your platform. That's what the person you're hoping is going to open the door for you did. So why don't you get on and do it? Get on and actually start leading. Get on and actually start building your own platform. Stop waiting for somebody else to give you permission. Stop waiting for somebody else to give you the go ahead. It just leads to frustration. It leads to frustration, and you think it is what you're supposed to be doing. You're afraid. Another thing to watch out for is if you are, I kind of mentioned this, but you're afraid of punishment because you want. I know for me, because I wanted I knew I was called to impact millions and make millions. Well, I wasn't always sure. Well, I wasn't always sure of the making millions because I didn't think that I was spiritual enough to think about money, truth be told. But for me, it's always been about, even just the idea of impacting millions. I felt that was bad. I felt that the fact that I knew that I wanted to do it and I would, and that any part of me that tried to create it, I got the feeling that that was greedy and that was selfish and it was ultimately sinful. I should not be doing that because I'm not supposed to be ambitious. Ambitious was a dirty word. You're not supposed to be ambitious. You're supposed to just kind of, whatever the Lord gives me, that will be enough for me. In fact, there's a song that I absolutely love the song, but I have to change the words of the chorus. I will be content with in every circumstance. And I will be content. I think that's it. I always change it too, and I will be focused on you, divine, and my desires. Basically, I change the words when I come to that. I love the rest of the song, but that I just say no, 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 no. But that's what I used to believe, that you're just supposed to just go along with whatever the divine kind of throws at you. When actually the divine is waiting for you to decide what you want and demand it from life. You out there telling yourself, "Oh no, it's selfish and greedy of me to have ambition. I'm not supposed to be an ambitious person. I'm supposed to be," and especially if you are an ambitious person, and I am an ambitious person. And so for ages, I was like pushing myself down, trying to be smaller, and feeling horrible that I had these ambitions that I was not supposed to have. Stop it. Or notice, or feeling guilty for questioning teachings. I've always been a questioner. I used to question when I was Catholic. I questioned when I was in my other various churches. And sometimes there were satisfactory answers. A lot of the time there weren't. And I just felt like I had to go along with it and I shouldn't really question. And there was just a lot of guilt around that because you're supposed to be full of faith and just take things on faith. But at some point, you need to realize faith, the truth stands up to scrutiny. And if it's not standing up to scrutiny, you're just kind of having to sweep things under the carpet and pretend that you don't feel then maybe not. Maybe that's not maybe it's not right for you. Okay. And you don't need to feel guilty about it. The divine is the divine, it's like questioning whether I exist. Here I am. You can question as long as you like. I'm still here. So, question if you want. The divine is the divine. It doesn't need to prove anything to you. The divine is there. So then what I'm trying to say is the divine is not afraid of your questions. Okay. So any part of you or any part of you that feels guilty for questioning, it's not because of the divine. It's not because the divine can't handle your questions. It's because you've been trained to believe that questioning is bad. And in some ways, it's a form of control because if you don't question, then you'll just go along with anything, and then you can be controlled. Ultimately, watch that. Okay, watch that. Again, that frustration that comes when you're waiting for somebody else to endorse your vision or to tell you that you're worthy or that you're now ready. Watch that. If you're noticing it, then it's because you are meant to get out there and start doing something rather than waiting for somebody else to tell you that you're now ready. Tell yourself that you're freaking ready. Okay? Stop. Nobody's holding you back. You are holding yourself back. Yes, I know that if you did step out from under your shepherd's leadership or whatever, there might be trouble. But is that because it's right? Is that because you're wrong in going after your vision or that they're right in trying to control you? No. It simply means that you've allowed people to control you. Enough. Get out there and start building your own platform. Face into the fear of building your own platform and stop waiting for somebody else, and stop allowing yourself to go stagnant whilst you're waiting for somebody to tell you that you're now ready to live in your vision. Wake the frick up. This is your vision, your life. Wake up and start living it. Wake up and start living it. Again, notice also if you have given up leadership in your own life, leadership of your own family, there's somebody telling you what you should do in your bedroom, for goodness sake. Somebody else's business what you do with your partner. What you do with your own freaking body. It's your body. It's your partner. It's you. Why does anybody, unless you have asked for their guidance, and be careful who you ask this stuff, frankly, but unless you've asked for their guidance, how is it anybody else's business what you do in your bedroom? How is it anybody else's business what you do with your own body? And yet, religion has a tendency of wanting to define what your sexuality should be like, or how you should do this and how you should do it, whether you should feel guilty about what you do with your body, whether you should masturbate, whether you should not masturbate. What has that got to do with anybody other than you? Really, when you're not asking specifically for their advice, why is somebody feeling that they have the authority to tell you how to live your life? Really, how to live, yeah, how your sexuality should play out. And yet we give into this stuff. We give into this stuff, and it's like, why do you do that? And it took me a long time of questioning for me to find, well, a long time of growing for me to finally realize, why do I think that somebody else knows better than I do what I should be doing with my own body? Are you kidding me? I took ownership. I took leadership in my own life instead of waiting for somebody else to tell me how I should live or what I should do in the. What does it got to do with them? It's between me and the divine, and it's between me and my partner, for goodness sake. And yet, how many of y'all feel guilty, so freaking guilty, because you're doing things that you're told you're not supposed to do? But who set these rules? Have you taken it directly to the divine? If no one is getting hurt, how does it affect anybody else? And are you, and because then you might say, yeah, but I'm getting hurt. Okay, I understand that. But are you getting hurt because you have been told how to think? And so when you go against that way of thinking, you now feel guilty and feel hurt, when really, if you actually were free in the first instance, you wouldn't be suffering from guilt right now or shame right now. But because somebody somewhere has programmed you into believing that doing certain things is shameful. So now you do something that to a lot of people in the world, it's completely normal. But because of your religion and your religious beliefs, you have now decided that that must mean you are shameful, you are guilty, and you should be punished. And you go about punishing yourself quite nicely, basically, and then telling yourself it's because the divine did not want this from me. That's why I'm being punished. No. You're getting what you expect. You expected punishment, and your behaviors, though you may not notice it, are bringing punishment upon you. But you think it's the divine. You're blaming the divine for something that the divine is not doing to you. You are freaking doing it to yourself, or you're allowing other people's judgments to do it to you. Wake up. Wake up. Your spiritual teacher, your pastor, your whatever is not infallible. They can make mistakes. Okay. They are ultimately on their own journey, doing their own thing, but they're a human being exactly the same as you. I am a human being exactly the same as you. If you ever just take my things without taking it to the divine, then you should not. Go to the divine, hear for yourself, trust yourself. And the idea again, and I've kind of harped on about this at the beginning, but I would say again that God is just waiting there judging you like Santa Claus with a naughty and nice list. Were you naughty? Were you nice? And if you were naughty, I'm going to put you in hell for all freaking eternity. That is not the divine. The difference now in my life is that I know the divine. So I measure everything external against my knowledge of the divine, my relationship with the divine. And if it doesn't fit, that thing is wrong, not my understanding of the divine is wrong. Whereas before I used to think, let's look at sacred texts, let's look at what the pastor or teacher or whatever is telling me, and then how I would use that as a judgment as to how the divine was supposed to be with me. So for some of y'all, the divine is not allowed to speak freely to you, because if it doesn't fit into the way you've been taught or you've been programmed to believe this is what the divine does, then you will not hear it. You'll decide it's of the devil. You'll decide it's wrong. Hey, Masha, how you doing? And it's a nonsense of a nonsense. So now, for me, as I said, I turn that around. My relationship is with the divine, not with some static sacred text or some teaching from somebody. It is with my relationship with the divine. So all of those things must measure up to who the divine is to me, or it doesn't, or it's just no. So again, if you've been programmed to believe that the divine is some kind of punishing, horrible, judgmental deity, come on, question that. Unconditional love is available when you stop believing that nonsense. Questioning beliefs is not betrayal, okay? Questioning beliefs is not rebellion. It's just you wanting to go deeper in your relationship with the divine. And anything that gets in the way of that relationship must be questioned. Anything that gets in the way of your relationship with the divine must be questioned. It is okay for you to outgrow certain ways of seeing things. It is okay for you to outgrow certain teachings. You do not have to stay there forever. The divine is a sure thing. your interpretation of the teaching surrounding the divine is not a sure thing, okay? Because it's just an interpretation which changes from one generation to the next, changes where you are in the world, basically. I mean, really think about it. Whatever your sacred text is saying, I promise you that somebody on the other side of the planet is reading that same sacred text and interpreting it completely differently from you. Even you can even see that within like the church, within the Christian church. That there's so many different factions and they're all using the same one text, but somehow everybody is explaining it differently, interpreting it differently, but everybody's right. And if you don't do it my way, then you are wrong. Really? Really? Now these are things that some of y'all you've been thinking for ages, but you don't have the courage to say it. It took me a long time to be here to get here where I'm actually able to say this just kind of bluntly and boldly because I want you to be free. Freedom, honey, freedom. Freedom to choose what you choose to believe. Freedom. Honey, it's okay to outgrow certain ways of seeing things. The way you saw things at 5 is not the way you still need to see things at 45. Come on now. It's time to wake up and set yourself free. This stuff is holding you back from living fully in your purpose. Aren't you fed up of feeling so restricted, so unfulfilled? And the very thing that is supposed to be bringing you fulfillment and freedom and all of that is actually binding you the frick up. Wake up. Wake up. I've talked to you a few days ago about how manifestation works and being a stage 1, stage 2, or stage 3. We need to get to stage 3. We need to be practical mystics, or in this community, we are deliberate millionaires, where you recognize, honeys, you are unconditionally loved and you are the authority in your life. You have dominion. You and the divine are co-creators of your reality. You are not alone in this, and the divine is not freaking judging you. And you can be imperfect and still create an amazing life if you would just let go of some of your freaking rules that keep you so bound up. These are the blocks that I keep talking about. Remove them. Come have a session with me. Let me help you see where you are holding yourself back. Okay, the divine is not doing this to you. The divine will bring you to, because you ask for help, the divine brings you help. But then it's up to you to actually act upon that help. You will not be forced. You will not be forced and you will not be punished. You will still be loved unconditionally, whether you choose to stay in bondage or whether you choose to set yourself free. The choice is yours. But I ask you very strongly, please go directly to the divine. Question what you've believed and ask, and redefine your relationship with the divine so that you can connect and stay connected rather than being afraid that you're going to end up in hell for all eternity, or afraid that if you do, I mean, even a relationship based on fear that if you do not worship in a certain way, that you will be punished. No, that's not good. I don't know how anybody can say that they love the divine when they're so afraid that if they don't, they will be punished. Is that love? Really? 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 Okay. Really? Okay. So come on, wake up, wake up, wake up. You are the authority in your life. The divine will never take your free will away from you. The divine is forever loving you unconditionally. This doesn't, sometimes people say, oh, what you saying, the divine is really weak. What? So you're strong means that to be strong is to be a bully? Are you kidding me? No, that's not strength. That may be strength in the eyes of, human nature, sometimes flawed human nature. But that's not the divine. The divine doesn't need to bully you in order to show that he is the authority, or they are the authority and you are the little worm of the earth. That is just religious dogma. Do not keep believing that stuff without questioning it. I know you can sometimes be afraid in terms of questioning certain things, but sometimes that fear is pointing you in the direction that you need to go so that you can grow. You're at the edge of your comfort zone. You want to break free. You want to go to your next level. There's a certain amount of questioning that needs to happen in order for you to let go of old ways of seeing things, old ways of perceiving the world. It's time to set yourself free, my loves. You are the one that can set yourself free. And it's time to start trusting yourself and accepting yourself. Because whilst you continue to think that you're somehow less than your pastor or less than your spiritual teacher or less than other human beings because they seem so much more authoritative than you, that stuff, that refusal to accept Your ideas is what will hold you back from living fully in your purpose. Some of you are called to, transform people's lives with your coaching, with your healing, with your teaching, but you can't do it whilst you think that you're somehow less than, because you will keep questioning yourself. You'll keep questioning whether what I have to say is of any use to anybody. Is it? And then you go and ask for permission from other people who are still trying to make up their, trying to sort themselves out, and yet somehow they're supposed to look after you. And then, come on now. It's time for you to start accepting and validating yourself, learning to trust your own intuition, your own wisdom, your own guidance from within, your own connection to the divine, that you can hear the divine, that you can lean in and allow the divine to love you and to guide you and to lead you forward. It's not to say that you don't ever need support from anybody else. No, we're not talking about being a lone wolf or anything like that. But it's where you give away your authority, give away your power, really, to who you consider to be your leader or whatever. No, come on now. Validate yourself. Validate yourself. Question things with love. So I'm not saying go and attack your pastor or attack anybody else in your life. No. But start to question things. Go and sit with the divine, question things. I promise you, because the kind of freedom that has come to me because I sat with the divine and questioned some of the things I thought were too sacred for me to ever question. I had to. And then set some boundaries. People not, just because somebody's your pastor or whatever does not give them the authority to dictate how you live your life, how you live every aspect of your life. No. Okay, now in the context of their church, somebody's built a church and they want certain people that act in a certain way to be in their leadership team. Fine, they get to define that. It's almost like their own business. They get to define who is allowed to serve and all of that stuff. But that's why you, as the leader, can go and build your own. Okay. Towards the end of my church journey, I stopped allowing myself to be put into any leadership position because I knew at some point people would question some of the things that I was thinking and saying. And so I thought, you know what, I'm not going to do any leadership anything, because I know they have their rules for how they want people to act in a leadership capacity within their church. And it's their right. It's their church. They've built it from nothing. And I admire that. So if I come into that, then I submit to that. But if I can't submit to that, which in the end I decided, you know what, I don't want to play this game anymore, you walk away. But because nobody gets to tell me how to live my life. Okay. If I ask you for some guidance, fine. Okay. But even then, I still get to choose how I live my life. And sometimes religion can be so controlling if you let it be. Can't tell you the number of clients I've helped break free from that religious control. Because you can't live in your purpose whilst you're being religious. You're following all of these traditions and refusing to question anything. You need to put boundaries in place around, no, this is my life. This is what I choose. And nobody's allowed to tell me otherwise. If me and the divine come to a conclusion that this is no longer good for us, then great. That's up to me to choose. Okay? Even the divine is not forcing himself upon you. So why on earth should you allow some human being to tell you how you're meant to live your life? But the only way this is going to work is that you take responsibility for your own happiness, your own growth, your own everything. Seriously, become the leader in your own life. It's only when you give away your power that people could take your power. Ultimately, nobody has authority over you unless you give them authority over you. So take back your power and start creating your purpose-driven life. It's up to you. It's up to you. And question with curiosity. Go back to being that child, that childlike essence, that childlike spirit. Question things. There's nothing wrong with questioning things. Explore, experiment, dare to challenge, dare to experiment and explore things rather than just stay rigid and stuck. This is the way we've done it always, and this is the way we always want. Well, you wouldn't be listening to me if you were that person, or again, you'd be writing insulting nonsense, in which case I'd ignore you. Okay. But seriously, this is your life. Don't get to the end of it and wish you had done anything, done more than you are right now. Come on. Wake up. This is your life. Okay, I'm going to bring it to a close here. And I will invite you to look at the two ways that I can support you, which is get the book, the Remove the Blocks book, and or come and have a 90-minute deep dive intensive Remove the Blocks session with me. Let us connect to the divine. Let's look at any situation in your life where you're feeling stuck. Let's identify and clear the blocks keeping you in that stuck position. And then From that, you'll get strategic guidance on what to do next. And you leave the session feeling a heck of a lot lighter because you will be released from some of these things that have kept you bound. It's time for you to rise victorious in your true design life. Until the next time, my loves, go forth and prosper. Much amazing, amazing love. Bye. Share this with somebody else. Bye.